Hey everybody, welcome back to Deep Proof Cooking. So the other week there when I made chicken fried steak, I had a lot of fun doing so. So today I'm going to be doing some more frying, but I'm going to be making fried chicken today. Now I figured, hey, if I'm making fried chicken, I might as well just make chicken and waffles. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to make today, but I'm going to spice up the waffles a little bit, turning them into cheddar jalapeno waffles, and they're going to taste awesome. I think you'll really like what I make here today. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's start making this fried chicken. Now, as you can see here, I have some chicken thighs, bone-in chicken thighs, I should say. Now, you can use these if you want, or you can use like chicken drums or breasts. Really, it's up to you. I just had some chicken thighs in my fridge, so that's what I was going to use. Now, what we're going to do is brine these, and in order to brine them, we're going to need a Ziploc bag, like I have here, and then we're going to pour the chicken into it very carefully to avoid cross-contamination, and then we're going to put 3 cups of buttermilk in, pour that into the bag, and then add in a few pinches of kosher salt, 1 or 2 of them, and then add in some freshly ground black pepper, just a couple twists of it. Now this is a buttermilk brine, and this is going to make your fried chicken so amazing. So as you can see, I'm just sloshing it around to make sure everything is mixed. I'm going to make sure there's no air left in the Ziploc bag, and I'm going to throw this in the fridge for it to brine for at least 4 hours, but ideally for 24 hours. Okay, so it's the next day, and I have 2 pie plates in front of me. One of them has 2 cups of all-purpose flour in it for a dredge, and then the other one has the bag of brining chicken, like you can see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the chicken out and put it on a separate just tray for a minute here, because we're going to use the buttermilk that we were brining in to help batter this fried chicken. So I'm pouring that into a separate pie plate, very carefully not to spill. There was raw chicken in it after all. And then we're going to add in 2 eggs, so crack both of them in, and then you're just going to mix this all together with a fork or a whisk. Really just whatever you use, make sure it's nice and mixed together. Then over to the dredge. Besides the 2 cups of all-purpose flour we have in there, we're going to add in a tablespoon of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, just pour it in, then 2 tablespoons of onion powder, and then about a tablespoon of cayenne pepper. Next in is a good pinch of kosher salt, like you can see, and then some freshly ground black pepper, as much or as little as you want. Similarly, you're just going to mix this all together with a whisk or a fork until it's nice and combined. Now there's your dredge for battering the chicken. And speaking of the chicken, let's bring it back here. Now normally you would dip it into the buttermilk and then into the dredge, then back into the buttermilk and into the flour dredge one more time. But because it's already covered in buttermilk, we're just going to start off by putting it right into the flour, and then once it's done, we're going to put it on that separate baking sheet. So as you can see, into the flour first to make sure it's nice and coated. And once it is coated, you're going to then dip it into the buttermilk egg mixture again to make sure it's nice and coated. And then once out of the buttermilk, once more into the flour. And on the second time in, just swirl it all around and, cover it completely in flour head to toe. And then you've made a double breaded chicken ready for frying. Take it out of the breading and throw it on your wire rack, and do that for all of your pieces of chicken, just like this. Look at those, they're ready to go. So once you have them all breaded, it's time to head into the kitchen and start frying these. So into the kitchen, get a large Dutch oven, put it on a high heat, and pour in a couple quarts of a good frying oil, like vegetable or canola. And you're going to want to heat this up until it hits 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I recommend using a thermometer like the one I have here, or you could just use an instant read one. Once it has hit 350 degrees Fahrenheit, start putting your chicken in slowly, dropping it away from you to avoid splashing, and you'll want to fry these pieces of chicken for about 5 to 6 minutes per side until it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So after 5 minutes, flip them and fry for another 5 or so minutes. Now what I would also recommend is preheating your oven to 225 degrees Fahrenheit, because you're not going to be able to fry all the chicken in one batch, so throw the done pieces of chicken on a baking sheet and throw them into the warm oven to keep them warm while you fry the rest of them. From there, the steps are pretty straightforward. Just repeat what I've already told you to fry the rest of your chicken. Just gently put them in away from yourself to avoid splashing yourself, and fry these for 5 to 6 minutes per side. Once they are fried, it's time to start making your waffles for the chicken and waffles. And speaking of which, you're going to need a large mixing bowl like I have here. Now I'm going to show you how to make a homemade pancake batter, but honestly it's way easier to just use that, just add water stop. If you do want to make your own homemade pancake batter, start off with 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour and pour it into your mixing bowl. Then you're going to want to add in a teaspoon of baking powder, pour that in as well. Next in is a teaspoon of white granulated sugar, then add in a good pinch of kosher salt, say a half teaspoon of that, and then give this a quick whisking to make sure it's combined. Once whisked, cracked in 1 egg, and then a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter melted, and then 1 1/4 cups of whole milk, and whisk this all together until it's nice and smooth and combined. And there you go, you got some pancake waffle batter. But I am going to add in some cheddar and jalapenos, like I said. So I'm adding in about 1.5 cups of shredded old cheddar. Just pour that all in. And then I diced up 1 jalapeno into little squares, like you can see. Finally, give this one last whisking to make sure that the cheese and jalapenos are combined. And it's time to start making some waffles. So get out your waffle iron like I have here and give it a good spray down with some cooking oil. There we go. Just make sure both sides of the grill are coated. You don't want the waffle to stick. And then simply just pour some of your waffle batter into it. Smooth it out quickly like that. Make sure it's a nice even coating. You don't want it spilling out the sides. And then set it down and wait for the waffle to cook. Should only take a couple of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes. And there you go. There's a jalapeno cheddar waffle. So let's take that off. It was super hot. Look at that. Look at the color on that. Look how nice that is. Oh my god. Okay, let's bring the fried chicken out. Now, as you can see, a couple of them came a little darker than expected, but that's okay. All of them were hitting about 165 internal temp, so it's not like they were burnt. It's just that the batter came out a little bit darker than I was expecting. But these smell heavenly. Let me tell you, they just smell so damn good. So let's bring one in, put it on top of our waffle. There we go, chicken and waffles. Now, to truly enjoy chicken and waffles, you gotta pour some maple syrup on top. And I'm not talking about table syrup. Table syrup is delicious, but I'm talking about real Canadian maple syrup. Us Canadians take it very seriously. As a side note, did you know in 2011 there was robbers in Quebec who stole 3,000 tons, yes, 3,000 tons of maple syrup in what was called the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist. But, you know, regardless, that has nothing to do with the video. I just found it funny. So let's go in for the taste test. And oh my god, was that ever good. Oh, it's so good. The chicken is nice and juicy on the inside, but it's got a nice crisp and delicious batter on the outside. You know, it's got the nice spiciness to it and garlicky flavor to it with the cayenne and the garlic powder, and just the overall flavor of it mixed with the sweetness of the maple syrup and the savoriness of the waffle with the jalapenos and cheddar. This is just a perfect combination of just sweet and savory, and it came together so deliciously. Like, this was so good, and you would really like this if you tried this at home, so I highly recommend you do try it. You will really, really love it. But anyways, that is the end of the episode. Like always, if you like what you saw here, why don't you drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Idiot Proof Cooking. We'll see you again soon.